0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out.
Pattison Ave! Turn it up! Let's go! Morning in Philly, we run this show. Hey! Joe Marks, James scores on the glow. Eagles fly, Phil swing, let it roll. Flyers crash, Sixers light up the floor. Philly, shout it on the air. Pattison Ave, we're already there.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome into this edition of the Pattison Ave Sports Show. And today we got a special guest join us, for the second time in back to a couple weeks or so. Joining me once again is my companion, my brother from another, Joey Marks. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Philadelphia. Good morning, James. It is a beautiful day, and it is going to be an amazing day. Busy weekend in Philly sports, but we got a great guest that we're going to interview today, and it's going to be a delight to just talk to him. He's definitely had some vivid memories in my mind from his playing days. From his playing days with the Philadelphia Eagles, a part of one of the better defenses to ever play for the Philadelphia Eagles. The great, there's the Sherman tank, there's the military tank, and then there's Hollis the Tank Thompson.
Yes,
Thomas.
sir.
Thank you for joining us, Hollis, and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely.
No
We
problem.
do appreciate it, my friend. Of course we do.
So let's get started with what I just mentioned about the defense. You know,
Okay.
you play with some, like, I would say, we know for one, Hall of Fame player, but probably should be more in that defense with Jeremiah Trotter, Brian Dawkins, Hugh Douglas, all that. What was it like in that locker room? What was it like to play with those guys? How, intense was it?
Well, first of all, I can help you out a little bit. When you're in you don't think of it like that. I felt like I belonged there. That's one. Two, I didn't waste time. People always ask that question, what was it like? I don't know. I was there playing. I had to keep my job.
Right.
And, it's like when you're playing, it's like I was on the front line. So if I wasted my time trying to be a fanboy, and, turn around and see what Dawkins and everybody's doing, then they couldn't do their job the way I did my job. I enjoy my time playing, and I like to dissect offenses. I love to dissect offense, but if you want to know I think it's the way we built our core, and we came together and we galvanized ourselves as a defense. Was we believed in each other and we counted on each other to do what we were supposed to do. We up front we asked for a little coverage. On the back end, they would ask, "Can I get some rush?" So and then I was just there to make plays. My dad would always tell me players make plays. One of my coaches in high school was Ernie McMillan. Everybody, you may know him. He may predate you. Ernie McMillan played offensive tackle on the other side of Dan Dierdorf for the St. Louis Cardinals. When I was growing up, that was one of my tutors, and he taught me how to defeat and dissect blocks. You probably don't know that me and Dawkins were in the same quote unquote draft class. I never got drafted, but then people ask that question. Sometimes it's off-putting, and it's like I understand the nostalgia and the fandom. I was like, but you should ask them how I was there to defend them. It's almost like being an offensive lineman, but I was able to make plays. Playing next, if you want to know, playing next to you, we were the team clowns. We kept it. We kept it fun. That's the best way to describe it. We kept it fun. We were allowed to be ourselves. I feel like if they mixed up some of the players and the front office stuff that's going on now, we probably would have won a couple of titles. But that's on crying over, I don't want to cry over Joe Banner milk. I mean, spilled milk. Um, when you and a lot of people knew about the things that went on, and Howie knows, and that Howie knew because he was kind of a part of that. He was like a fly on the wall, and as you can see what he's doing now, it's kind of like, not even kind of like when you have a company and you build your company and your workers are make you who you are. Don't be a jackass and think that you're a self-made man. It was the people that work for you that got you to that status. And it's like if you don't treat the workers good, or you don't treat your staff good, you end up with just being just good enough to make it to the mountaintop, but not to go over it. So if you learned anything from your time in watching football through the '90s and the 2000s and to when Joe Banner was in charge, to when Howie Roseman took over, that's the main thing you should know. There aren't any. You remember the contract disputes they used to have? Remember Trotter leaving and coming back? Yep. That kind of stuff won't happen under Howie. That's one of the main. If you're looking for one of the main things that goes down, because a lot of people, you can't compare teams. You can't compare. Tom Brady will never be the GOAT because he's got cheating scandals attached to his name. Yeah, you can't compare any of. Put it this way. On April the 7th, 1943, there was a NFL adopted the rule that everybody had to wear a helmet, and it was a 10-game season. So when you anointing all these yahoos that you feel like are in the status of Hall of Fame, you have to remember there was a 10-game season of records that they're breaking. The 2,000 yard record mark that they broke, that they're saying that they broke from Orenthal James Simpson, was done in 14 games. The 1,000 yard marks that were the ones that they broke of Jim Brown's, those were done in 12 and 14 games. And it was different time then. So you can't. It's like you have to put asterisks by the, because it's like right now the quarterbacks that say healthy. Why do you think what's the kid's name? Joe Flacco still playing? He'll tell you, because they don't. All he's playing is 7-on-7. If anybody touches him, he goes down. They get a flag.
Right.
But when you talk about the game today versus back then, it's on its way to flag football right now. Anyway.
Yeah, it seems that way too.
Speaking of some of the stories, and you brought up a little bit, what's one story that you can remember from your playing days that maybe a lot of people would find interesting that maybe you haven't told before?
Yeah, I've been running my mouth for the last since I retired. So a lot of people always want to know the story about T.O. When we was over T.O. It's just what I just got through telling you. It's the same thing that they were doing. They tried to do that to a superstar, and it bit them in the ass. They tried to do the crap that they were doing. They would. That's why if you ever look and pay attention to the landscape of things, often teams want you to have an agent. They want you to have an agent because they don't want you to know the shit that they're shoveling on you to get your price lower. And when they do, if you notice why it's like so. But when they told T.O. to sign, they told him to go ahead and sign the contract, because you remember back before we were Western civilization luxuries of the internet and the email and stuff, they had to fax things. So before his agent was supposed, because I think he fired his agent, and that's when he went with Drew Rosenhaus. But they were supposed to fax something to the then San Francisco 49ers so he could become an unrestricted free agent. They said that they didn't get the fax and tried to quickly trade him to the Baltimore Ravens. like you haven't heard any trading scandals with the Baltimore Ravens lately. But so they quickly got that rescinded, and noticed that they did fax proper paperwork. And then the Eagles had negotiated a contract with Terrell Owens, and the NFLPA told him not to sign it because it was backloaded. And at the time, the Eagles and Joe Banner, we'll say Joe Banner them, was known for getting rid of players in that when they're approaching 30. And I think T.O. was just about to be 30. Was a physical specimen, but was about to be 30. And he told Andy and all them, and which was the problem. And everybody's always on Nick Sirianni because they talk about some of the stuff he does. I like the fact that he's just a coach. It's like you can't preach family to your team if you're part of the upstairs. But now they've migrated it as an entire team and they all work together. The part that I was getting to was they lied to T.O., told them to hurry up and sign the contract because of all the turmoil that was going on, and we'll fix it in the off season. Now, mind you, they've told us that stuff before. They told us, "Shut up, we got your contract. Just get out there and play." And you see disgruntled players, and you don't get what you don't get the same umph from the players. My loyalty is gone because you've lied to me. So it's like I don't one-sided loyalty. That's stupidity, and to think that things were going to work. Yes, you were going to be good because you put forth, you had a quality nucleus. You were going to be good, but when you came up against teams who people gave a damn about them, when I say people, I'm talking about not the fans, but the people that are in the building with you. Yeah. They gave it. It's like and that's the upstairs people. It's kind of like when you see them doing, hey, let's do cuts. The first people they cut are the people that work for them, and they try to give the other people that they keep more responsibility. You can't do that and expect to get quality out of any type of company. That's what was transpiring. If you notice, we went to 4 straight NFC Championship games.
That's right.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, Hollis, to just let you know a little background. You guys weren't at fault for T.O. leaving. James was. Because James went to Lehigh and got an autograph with Terrell Owens the day that he was doing sit-ups in his driveway.
I was a witness at that.
But the funny part about that is the Eagles brass, the upper echelon, they were used to telling players to go fuck yourself, and them basically, just getting mad and not being able to do nothing. You're messing with the superstar,
right?
A true superstar. Yeah, we had Donovan, but he was a mid-range superstar. Yep. He was a company man, if you will, for a while he was young. And so it's like and then you top that all off with the fact that Donovan told T.O. that he didn't mess with he didn't get involved in other people's contract negotiations. And then he turned around and was on TV talking about pay Westbrook.
And then he's saying to T.O., keep my name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
And then all that extracurricular bitch made stuff. I was like, just play football. Don't get teammate and homie mixed up. But at some point you have to like the people that you're playing with. And I felt like they robbed you and me and the rest of the team. Not only, and it wasn't only them, it was the people in the front office. You can't treat people like that. I was like, you put it this way. Do you remember the last game at Veterans Stadium?
Yes. I think everybody.
Why is Barry Gardner on the field trying to check Joe Jurevicius instead of Sean Barber? I'll wait. Instead of the nickel linebacker that's been playing all season long. Joe Jurevicius is still fucking running. Now, I didn't play in that game, but I watched that game, and I looked, and I'm wondering, my God, Barry's my guy. But would I put him in on nickel defense for coverage? Hell no. Hell no. And then you spent all season to get where we were using Sean Barber, and because he wouldn't sign a bullshit contract, you're putting him in and out of the game. The only reason I'm saying that part is because I know that because when I was close to an incentive in my contract, and all of a sudden when I was playing, we would rotate. We didn't need the coaches to tell us when to rotate, but all of a sudden later in the season, they don't go out there unless I tell you to. Okay. Okay. And so Corey comes to the sideline like, you don't want to play? Hey, he already hollered at me once. If you holler at me again, I'm gonna choke the shit out of him. I was like, cause I don't. It's like, cause he's like. Then the coach tells me that he didn't know that I had a playtime incentive, and I'm like, bullshit. All you guys, all you know. And then so you bullshit me, and then you say you're gonna switch my contract to be just so. I don't think because all of a sudden in the playoffs, the Super Bowl run, all of a sudden I'm your best D lineman, and I'm in the game the whole damn time. On the 13-play drive, I play all 13 plays. And he said, "Don't come off the field unless I tell you to." The playoff plays don't count.
Right.
So Is that it was stuff like that 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 I remember, and I talk about it from time to time. But it's like if we had everybody keeps talking about the times of Big Red. If you pay attention to the team that he started out with, Ray Rhodes had drafted. He drafted Trey Thomas. Ray Rhodes drafted Dawkins. He drafted Bobby Taylor. He brought in Troy Vincent. He traded for Hugh Douglas. He drafted Jeremiah Trotter. He drafted Ike Reese. He drafted Brandon Whiting. He drafted Jermaine Mayberry. He drafted Deuce Staley. I could go on forever. That whole nucleus, the entire defense. Al Harris, he brought in Al Harris. He brought in the whole secondary, dude. I was like, and then you come here, you bring Jim Johnson here to orchestrate the defense. Dude, we lost the game 6-3 to a Brett Favre-led Green Bay Packers. So So when people start talking about it's like Andy and nobody knows that Ray Rose told Jeff Lurie that he should hire Andy because he was good at time management, which was a rock.
Yeah, that's not true at all. But so a little something about me, Hollis. So Hollis, I lost my sight about 4 or 5 years ago. Suddenly, but I have certain visual memories that I still like lock in my brain and think of from time to time. You hold one of those memories.
Thank you.
James, can you pull up the video?
I do. I got it right here, man.
So this hit on Michael Vick will live in my brain forever because I honestly, when I saw this live with a buddy of mine, I'm at Fat Tuesdays on South Street watching this game with my buddy. When this hit happened, me and my friend looked at each other and like, Michael Vick's dead. Hollis Thomas killed Michael Vick. Like, he's not getting up. He just killed. Like, there's a murder on the field, and so you could tell Michael Vick got up. He dusted himself off. He was a little like shaken, and looked over at you, and you could tell he mouthed to you, "Don't hit me like that again. Like, don't hit me like that again." I thought we like, dude. And then I was like, okay, I understand, and this is not a knock on you. I'm like, I know Hollis is in fleet of foot, but we know that Vic was.
Yes, you fail to realize I am fleet of foot.
Okay.
I'll put it this way. I've run people down. I've run people like Stephen Davis down from 50 yards away. And when I was playing for the Saints, you asked your buddy L.J. Smith, who caught a screenplay and ran 40 yards downfield, who knocked the shit out of him around midfield. So it ain't that I'm not fleet of foot. It's like I have quickness and I know angles. The reason why I played was because I never stopped running. I never stopped chasing.
That was because Michael Vick was a very athletic quarterback. For him,
nobody cares about that. You can do all the moves you want to. That's like, but when we are heat-seeking missiles at defense. They turn them back to the sharks. Yes, if he broke to the outside, I'm not going to catch him running a straight line. I pretty much lured him into thinking that he had a free shot at the end zone, and you have to take your shot. He's like, because if you stop and break down, those like I didn't realize it until when you were showing it. All I could remember was I think the first sack of the game, and everybody started sacking after that because you can't break down because it's almost like he's so fast. And I don't know if you've ever seen the tape of Barry Sanders. Mm-hmm. Like when Barry Sanders makes you stop your feet and he's able to go back again, just picture that being a little bit faster. It's like because when Barry Sanders gets you to stop and break down, you're done. You're not catching him.
Right.
But so so that's when and it may be some footage of Tommy Brazier, the defensive line coach, saying, just take your shot at him. It's like because he's going to be there. Just take your shot at him. It's like it's not it's football. It's like, and I relished on the thought, if any running back or anybody who thinks that they're fast, when they tell me that I'm not going to tackle them, I'm tackling everybody from Randy Moss to Jerry Rice.
Wow.
So that's like so. And then I tackled Randy Moss on a crossing route. I came out of the pack He was on a crossing route. We were playing against Minnesota. Go look it up.
That
Like,
had
so,
that had.
so as a big dog, it's not being. I ran a 4.98 in the 40. So I
Wow.
don't. I don't know what you call fleet of foot.
I mean, that I'm impressed with that actually. Because you look at like the guys we have now, with Jordan Davis and
Oh
Jalen
yeah,
Butler.
Jordan Davis. Well, see, a lot of people don't realize that Darwin Walker ran a 4.6. Corey Simon and Darwin Walker were 4.6s and 4.7s respectively at D tackle. So you had it's like, but I just had a motor where I had determination where you weren't getting away from me. It's like, and if I could get there through, and then you have to pay attention to a lot of the things that they teach you throughout practices and stuff. It's like we had a thing called a pursuit drill. Pursuit drill, you would think it's punishment, but it's showing you different angles to chase the ball carrier at, and where you might meet him at. And
So how was hitting Vic like that? Like how in that moment, how did that feel?
it was spectacular. It was the only NFC Championship game I played in. I was elated to be in that game. And he's like, I got so many calls after that game from players who were in the first 3 NFC Championship games that I didn't play in because due to injury. That was another thing too, is the injury bug had been. If you look at that game, it's only one NFC Championship game that myself and Derek Burgess played in, and that was it. Every year leading up to that last one that we played in and we finally made it over, me and him got hurt at some point during the season. Either he got hurt first and then I got hurt, or I got hurt then he got hurt. And then, so we were pretty much on the on the Ivy League and on the mass unit in the training room, like, and we didn't make the correlation until the second time it happened. I was like, wait a damn minute, because it was the first time it happened. I broke my foot, but then that next year coming into training camp, I on the last day of full gear, I broke the screw that they put in there because they put the wrong screw in there apparently, and then like weeks later, guess who's got the same injury? Derek Burgess.
Wow.
And so and then because they tried to do him like they did me, and so he let it heal a little bit, but he wasn't feeling right. And he made them go in and do the second surgery because it's a progress. They have to follow a procedure. But I was like, wouldn't it behoove you to to go to the second part of that procedure when you're dealing with an athlete that's running around and putting that much weight and force on it? But I think they do that now, and I think the way medicine is now is far better than it was when we were playing.
Yeah.
And at the time when we were playing, it was far better than what I heard from. I heard they used to split your knee open to do the ACL, split the whole knee open, and you could walk around with like a giant gash. I was like, whoa. If you ever seen the athlete from like the 70s and the 80s who had ACL surgery, and they look like the Bionic Man.
I've had a lot of eye surgeries in my life. So I actually had the privilege of going to see the first ophthalmologist in the country's house. Is actually in Philadelphia. His name is Dr. Physic. It's a part of the National Philadelphia Historical Society tour. And you go in there, you take we got an exclusive tour. I was a history major at Temple University, so we got to go on an exclusive tour. And the instruments that were used, they showed us, and I'm like, oh hell no. I ain't doing that.
And they expect you to be woke while they're going to your eyes.
Oh yeah, I'm not
asking you. I'm telling you because if you know the show, the Goldbergs, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That dad was one of our team doctors.
Oh really?
Really?
Yeah, it's like because I know the real Barry Goldberg. He's actually a doctor, and I didn't even know that because they have we used to do the yearly physicals when you come in, and their dad was one of the guys that back then they used to have like the whole training room set up with like partitions and stuff and sectioned off, and everybody would go in each room, and the doctor would take a look at you and stuff. He was one of those guys, but at first I didn't believe him, and then he asked me about my old cell number, which was 610-357-6729. It was like one of my first cell phone numbers. And you remember how back in the I don't know how old you guys are, but back when you used to, the answer machine used to come on, and you'd be like, you give them either the smooth slow cuts, or you'd be like, hello,
Yeah.
you're talking to a machine. So
Yeah.
I had one on there that said you have reached Hollis T, and it was like I was singing. And when he said it, I was like, yep, they knew it. They had my number. But they said he was telling me when they was kids, they called my cell phone, and because they found my number and they had much call. But I talked to they have season tickets, and I talk to Barry all the time.
Oh wow,
That's cool. That's very cool.
That's awesome.
Before we move on, I just want to promote a couple things. Number one, your website. First off, HollisThomas78.com.
Correct.
Hollis is an entrepreneur. Look, I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I kind of like love connecting with other entrepreneurs that, like you said, we could say we're self-made, but like there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of hard work.
Don't call yourself an entrepreneur. Just say you're a businessman. See, I'm about because you're about business. Saying you're an entrepreneur, it's kind of like uppity talk. It's like you don't have to be uppity. You're amongst friends. You're a businessman. Yeah. You're the song. I'm a classic man. Yeah, a classic man.
Yeah.
It's like being an entrepreneur. I don't know. It just doesn't sound cool, down to earth.
Yeah.
Being a businessman, it sounds cool.
I gotcha.
That's what I always say. When I talk about, we talked to Nathan, we talked, a couple other people, and I always say to people, like, I'm about doing business. Like, I don't say I'm about doing entrepreneurship. Like, I know I'm about business.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I wanted to talk a little bit about your podcast with Irving Fryer.
Yeah,
Irving. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Okay, the name came from Vetted because we both played at Veterans Stadium, and we were both veterans of the game. I feel like we've been doing it for quite some time, and it's you can find it on Apple TV and Roku through my net streams, KNETT streams.com, and it also has an app. But it's at Dolan's in Delaware County. And I used to live in Delaware County when I was playing here. I stayed on the PA side because I didn't relish the thought of paying $4 or $5 to come to work every day. And then I did live in Jersey when I first came back and got into the media market, but then I realized why I didn't live in Jersey, because once you go over in Jersey, if somebody said, "Hey, we got a party over here," I was like, "Well, yeah, you're in Philly." I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm tired now." But when you live, it's a little different when you on there. Because living over here, if somebody hits you up, you're like, "Oh, cool, I can come to that." But then when you stay on that side, you gotta go. You gotta get dressed. They say 15 or 20 minutes, but that's a long ass drive with coming from the forest.
Sure, yeah.
And, it's interesting you mentioned Dolan. So our show, our studio, our former studio, the network we were a part of was Edge of Philly Sports. Okay. And our studio was right across the street from Dolan's. We actually know PJ very well and have done.
Well, they're doing a fundraiser they're doing the Eagles, the Hungry Dog game today, this afternoon. I'm gonna stop through there. But I met PJ on an appearance, and he loves nails.
Yes, we met Lenny Dykstra there the one time, and
I did. I used to for Martino's neon signs. Me and Lenny did a commercial for him that they put on YouTube and stuff. I'm supposed to do some more stuff with Dave Martino because he came in. I saw him for the first time in a while because his brother passed away, but he was taken from him in a horrific fashion. But I hadn't talked to him since then. But he came to my show and stuff, and it was but it was like being at Dolan's and then seeing what PJ's done, and becoming incumbent mayor for a hot second, and just seeing the way the city is still like that. It's still wholesome and like part of home.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was very cool being up there. Another thing to promote, again, I'll stick with your thing.
Okay.
I'm a businessman,
Yes.
so on my business website, the shoppingplaza.store, I
Okay.
have posted a blog in tribute to Hollis Thomas
Oh, okay.
and his career and what he's been up to. On that I promote your podcast, your company. So go to my Twitter. I posted a thread this morning.
Okay.
Go to Joe Wolf 112680. That's at Joe Wolf 112680. Go check out my blog that I wrote about Hollis Thomas and see what this great tank has been up to.
I've been up to cannabis, man.
Yeah. Before we,
Well, no, I was gonna say, you know, it was but a lot of people don't know why. Well, not know why, but you know, you smoke cannabis and stuff, and you kind of do it for the
Right.
euphoric feeling. You know, as you know, when players, a lot of players, when we get done playing, you have a lot of pain.
Right.
With my I call it my last anti-inflammatory prescription. I got a Narcan, which let me know that I needed to find another way to alleviate my pain.
Well,
And so,
for
I'm in
people
it.
who want to give Hollis a question,
Yeah,
drop it in the chat, in the comment section. James will pick out one. But before we get to anyone doing that, let's just keep it PC. For Hollis, we're not going to try to get over on this. But James, did you have a question for Hollis?
Yeah, I do. It's basically back to what you were talking about, like the NFC Championship games and all that
Okay.
too. So obviously, the question I have to ask you is that how do you become mentally prepared, even like in games, especially like a game like if it was like your first NFC Championship game or maybe your last one in 2004, like how do you stay mentally prepared even though you've been even though you were there for like 3 or 4 times before that, but how do you mentally prepare yourself for like if like say for example when there was another disappointment, even though like the last time I mean you talked about it with Donovan obviously with the situation too. So how do you mentally prepare yourself even though you've been there like 3 or 4 times before that and try to like think that this will probably one time will be a breakthrough for the team to finally get back to the Super Bowl? Like how do you mentally prepare yourself for that?
Well, I think you know, the first thing is I wasn't healthy for the first 3, so I was ready. So I can't speak to the part where I felt like if I went out there and did what I needed to do, that me and Derek Burgess we saying is like this. Me and Derek Burgess that's my guy. We were saying that if we're healthy, we felt like 'cause if you look at all of them, that our rotation was messed up as far as health wise. And you don't realize that, and everybody you bring people in, but when you bring people in, it's not the same as the people that you have that you know and you can count on. And the guys on the back end, they felt like they would see like later on in the games if you don't have that same rotation, and not so much if you don't have the same quality of rotation up front, then you kind of lose some of the luster. But I know that myself, me and Derek Burgess had like a long talk, really about getting to that point with them and being healthy enough to play. Because that year, remember, I dislocated my elbow.
Wow.
And I was yeah. So I played in the playoff game because we got the first round bye, and also then this will crack you up too because earlier that year, Derek Burgess had fractured his sternum.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So he was hurt, and so he was doing rehab, but he was coming back at the end. So then I'm like, so as soon as he got hurt, I was in the training. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Excuse the language.
Right.
Like, what? Because as I told you, every time he got hurt, I got hurt, or if I got hurt, he got hurt. He's like, no, he was like, no, this is different. So we played against the Washington Redskins at the time, then Clint Portis. So I go to tackle him, and I get him like by the front of his jersey like this, but I'm going this way. So one of my own teammates, we'll call him Bullet, Keith Adams, he comes up and he hits me, and you can see it. He hits me right on the elbow, and my arm looks like a giant rubber band snapping.
Oh.
And yeah, so I dislocated my elbow, and I was in there. I was like, and so they were like, they did an open MRI, and they was like, as long as there's a particular ligament right here, ligament and a muscle right here, that if sometimes when you dislocate your elbow, it snaps. As long as it didn't snap, I was able to come back. So it didn't snap. It bruised up a little bit and stuff. They built me a armor, not a cast, but a brace, an arm brace.
Yeah, that big black metal arm brace.
Yeah, you said that, and they taped it up. So actually, they ended up starting to tape it up because during the playoff game against Minnesota, David Dixie ripped the whole thing off my arm. That's how bad he was holding. And so, but the part with the mental part was, as I do, it's like you only get one shot at this, and I felt like that was our time to shine. And it was just like once we got back to the NFC Championship game, dude, the way that it was no way we was losing that game, especially with the way the fans came out and shoveled the snow out of the stadium. Absolutely. When you look at that build up, that whole it being cold and snowing, and everybody coming down and getting together as a city, one city, and getting the snow cleaned out so we can come in there and we're the real birds of prey. It's like not a falcon, the eagle.
Oh yeah,
we're the real birds of prey. Dude, there was no way we was losing that game.
Yeah,
it was. And then the part where you was talking about, I don't think when you're a player, you don't let that crop creep up into your head. As far as that, like the last time, because you guys are probably the product of. You guys never got participation trophies, right? I'm asking for a friend. Inquiry minds want to know. Do you guys get participation trophies? So when you're a kid growing up in the area that I grew up in, you can look at, like, you remember when Jalen Hurts lost the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
he was out there watching that because you want to be on that podium. That's where you want to be, and it's like you have to soak that in because you don't want to be on the losing end again. And I even though I didn't play in the first three, and we didn't play, me and D Bird didn't play in the first three, we were still there. We were part of the team. We were on the sideline, and excuse the language, but that shit hurt deep.
Oh yeah,
I was like, it hurts deep, and it's like if you can do anything to change it, you in your power to change it. That's what we set out to do.
To quote Jalen Hurts when he came back to the Super Bowl the second time, he's like, he said on the sideline, he's like, they took my soul the last time. I'm coming to get it back.
Yeah.
And that was, I think that says a lot about the type of person mentally that Jalen Hurts is.
You know what truly says about a lot about who Jalen Hurts is? Let's give him the dagger here.
Yep.
Right there, the one, because I don't know if you guys were down there that entire time, and the level of disrespect not only that Jalen gets, but that our birds get, that we get. The Kansas City Chiefs fans was walking around I was in New Orleans. I was down there a whole week. The game hasn't even come close to starting yet. They're talking about a dynasty.
Right.
Oh yeah. Do you know the level? I'm meticulous and I'm a jerk and I'm petty. When you go back and look after we kicked their ass in the Super Bowl, go back and look how they start putting up the Chiefs Kingdom and all this other crap. They got their asses handed to them. There is no kingdom.
Yep.
It's like, what are you talking about?
We burned the kingdom to the ground.
Yeah, but then you go and look at all the every time that when they was playing, like it used to be that they would have the champions, they would have their season on. They kept playing Chiefs crap. If you playing games that are, they inundated Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and all these other quarterbacks who our quarterback has kicked their ass on many different occasions, and they're downplaying my guy.
Well,
come on, man. Make it make sense.
We're going to get into that in a minute.
Okay.
Before we do, because we definitely want to get your take on current Eagles business. But, James, do we have any questions from the commenters?
We do. We got one from Wesley here. He asks us a question here. He says, I have a question for Howard. So what is one moment of your career, rather, that stands out the most to you?
That meant the most?
That meant the most.
Stands out the most? Making the team as an undrafted free agent. I was like one of them. I was like, and I was laughing because I just did an event at Lincoln Financial Fields with Jody Campbell, and one of the people it was about we were testing all of the newfangled foods that's going to be at the link, and you guys might want to get over there and try some of this. It's spectacular. So one of the guys he remembered that I sent the highlight reel around to all the teams. Now back in before you guys' time, before these Western civilization luxuries came about, there was this thing called the VHS. That was the giant tape. So if you don't know how to record that, you had to put two VCRs together, and you had to play the one and record the other, and you couldn't watch another channel. So I had to, at the time it was 30 teams. Me and my Mike Bauer was my agent at the time, out of Wisconsin. He's like, we need to get your name out there. It was teams that knew me, that knew who I was, and it was teams that came and then seen a lot of my games. Because I played against like Florida, I played against Louisville, played against like Oklahoma State. I played against a lot of the big teams, and I was kind of like the only guy, not only guy, but I was like one of the bigger guys on the defensive line because I went to the University of Northern Illinois. It's called NIU, but it was like I was one of the bigger guys, and I would always flourish in those games. So what I did was I got a highlight reel and I sent it to everybody. He was telling me that now everybody's got a highlight reel, on the West Coast, and I was part of that. I was like, it's basic marketing. Being a businessman, it's like if somebody had to send you, you got to show them what they're missing. And so the fact, once I got the opportunity to come to Philadelphia, and then seeing everybody, like it's people don't realize, especially as players, and I feel like the players now are not getting the same thing or losing out on, like you guys grew up in the era where we was at Lehigh. Lehigh used to be most of the Eagles fans, they used to be their vacation when we was at Lehigh. And it was awesome because you got to
a lot of Lehigh stuff. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, so you see you see they don't get to interact with the people like we used to. I think that's like kind of a jip as a player, but you get, because you don't get to see it until later. But I think the best time was making the team. The first time I made the team, and the first game I played was at RFK Stadium against the Washington Redskins.
Oh, there you go.
And the funniest thing too was, I've told this story a couple of times. The very first series, one of the first series of the game, and when you play, I don't know if you had that, coach, can I get in? Coach, can I get in? Yep. It was none of that. He was like, how? I was like, wait a minute, already? Because and so I get the game, and then William Fuller was one of my best friends still to this day. William Fuller, I was playing on the same side as him. He said, calm down, big guy. Because he saw my eyes. I went in there, my eyes were like this big, dude. And it was just like, because you see it on TV. And the coolest part about it, I don't know if you guys were ever able to see at RFK Stadium when the place was rocking, and they would put the camera down by the grass, and you see the floor, the ground moving. That's how it was, because it was at the beginning of the game, and I was like, so the first play I was in there, I made a tackle for a loss, and I was like, okay, I have arrived. It's time.
Wow, that's awesome.
That was like one of the cool. To me, that was like the coolest. Besides second Troy Aikman on the first play of the game.
Yeah.
That was like one of the coolest moments ever.
Most Eagles fans, they grow up with their fathers or their people in their family that are Eagles fans. I, unfortunately, because you brought up the Redskins a couple times, I did not grow up that way. My dad was a Redskins fan.
He was a Hog fan.
Yeah, and so I remember watching Mark Rippon and all these other guys, and my dad would always complain about the refs anytime the Skins were losing. And so he would be like, the refs blow the call. They don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, Dad, what are you talking about? My dad did not encourage me to be an Eagles fan whatsoever. But I remember sitting and watching an Eagle. I'm 45 years old. So I remember sitting and watching a Redskins-Eagles game, just watching it. And my dad, my dad ruled the television. So he's like, we're going to watch this. I'm like, all right. And I remember watching Randall Cunningham roll out of the pocket. I'm like, who's this dude?
Yep.
And he's like, oh, that's nobody. And like, cause he didn't want me to be like on the Eagles. I was like, he's kind of cool. Like he's making all your guys miss. And he's like, yeah. The refs aren't making the calls.
What call are they supposed to make?
That's what I was saying, kid. And I'm only like 8, 9 years old. I'm like, what call are they supposed to make, Dad? I'm like, he's just running around them. Like, what call are they supposed to make? So from that moment on, I became an Eagles fan, thanks to Randall Cunningham and watching him kind of majestically run. The interesting thing is my mom was not a sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever the Redskins and the Eagles played, and they always played twice a year,
Yes.
whenever they played, we called it the Marks Bowl. And my mom's like, I'm going out shopping. I'm not going to sit here and listen to you two bicker and argue about this ref blew this call and this guy's doing this and all of that. And I'm like, what? We're civil. And
You weren't.
like, the hell with that. You ain't civil whatsoever. She's like, you guys need to go somewhere instead of just doing this at home. So yeah, I mean, God bless my dad. Like he basically was like a Redskins fan to the end. When they actually got Donovan McNabb, I can remember my dad saying, "Why? Why? We don't need the Eagles, second favors. Like no. So yeah, so to hear some of that, what you're saying about RFK, it's reminiscent of like a lot of like the old school that's kind of been missed with all these aerial cameras that they have. It's like no, put that on the field. Let's feel it.
See the field rock, and actually the coolest part of how that game ended was. Well, I'm good friends with Brian Mitchell now, but you remember he was a Eagle killer back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was being tackled by a young Michael Zordich. Michael Zordich was tackling him, and he was just about to lean forward, and I hit him like right at the end to knock him backwards, and they had to punt, and we ended up running the clock out and winning the game.
Wow.
Yeah. It was good. That was just like my first game in the NFL. And it showed me that I actually belong, because a lot of times when you practice, you're practicing against people who give a damn about you. So they're gonna win their job, but they're not gonna they're not gonna dog you. They're not gonna kick your ass. They're not gonna kick dirt in your face while you're down. The dirty stuff that transpires on the field. But it's like once I got in the game and playing against them, they were a pretty good team at the time. And the coolest part was the first time I played at Texas Stadium. First time, I don't know if you remember that game, but we can't. That was the game that Troy Vincent got the lateral and ran. He's still running now. With the interception by James Willis.
Yes.
Oh wow, yeah.
Dude, we came back when we flew back that night. There was about 4,000 or 5,000 Eagles fans waiting outside for our plane. And dude, that as a rookie to see that, I was like, man, and it was so. And that's when you knew the first time we played them, they kicked our ass on Monday night. And I don't know if you guys remember or are old enough to remember Ray Rhodes. I was standing next to him because they was calling me Baby T, because it was William Thomas, there was Emmett Thomas, that was defense coordinator, and then we had Jimmy Thomas, who's a special teams team that was real fast. All of them were way older than me, and I was the rookie. And they would call me. He said, I was standing next to him, and he said, "Baby T, we about to get our ass kicked because we was playing at home against the Cowboys." I was like, "How you know that the game ain't even started?" He's like, "Anytime you pull a bunch of pageantries out your ass," and then as soon as he said that, he said, "You get your ass kicked." As soon as he said that, Michael Buffer said, let's get ready to rumble thing. And I was like, oh man. And I proceeded to get what they call baptized at the NFL, because that's when they were coming off a Super Bowl victory, the Cowgirls. And they still had that big ass offensive line. And and as a player and as a human being in general, I know you guys grew up in the era where you had the quote unquote bully, but you finally kicked his ass.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
It's like so that second game when we went down there to Texas Stadium, if you go look at that film, I was ready, dude. I was. Oh yeah. I made sure. That's what I think. Because I was having dinner with Dawkins the other day, and we were talking about. He thought I was talking about James Fuller because that James Fuller was the safety that we had, and I actually forced Troy Aikman into throwing the pick to him, and then he brought him up. So we was bringing up a lot of the old stuff and talking about like Chris T. Jones, who was the tandem before AJ Brown and Slim Reaper to have 1,000 yards.
Oh, I was like Chris Carter and Irvin Fryer, right?
Nope, it was Chris T. Jones and Irvin Fryer.
Oh, I had that. Wow.
The Chris T. I still talk to Chris T. to this day. That's one of those guys who I love. I wish if we had the modern Madison back then. He had a knee surgery and they kind of botched it up because he grew up bow-legged. He's like 6'2". If he'd straightened his legs out, he'd probably been like 6'5", 6'6". But they, it's like they didn't know how to operate on him, and then he went into a little bit of a depression and stuff. But he came out. And he's doing spectacular. I brought him. I got him in touch with the Eagle alumni. We had him back down. It was great to see him. I don't know if you guys remember a running back named Derek Witherspoon out of the University of Clemson.
Yep.
Who my rookie year I was on a kickoff return team, and I say that with pride because Derek Witherspoon led the league in return yardage and touchdowns. But actually, I think 1,241, and he had like 4 touchdowns.
He was like Devin Hester before Devin Hester and
stuff. Yeah, most definitely. Especially for us, it was that we had, and then I didn't know until Andy got here. We hadn't won down in Arizona in quite some time. We beat him in at Veterans Stadium, but I didn't know we hadn't won until Andy's. I want to say his second or third year here. I want to say his second year here, but it was like the one time when we took him into overtime. They literally he ran back a kickoff by himself because I had nothing for. I had just been. It was my first game starting as a rookie, and they wanted the number 1 kickoff return team because they had just had like 8 or 10 play drive that ended in a field goal, and I played all 10 plays, and then I was like, I told my substitute to get me. And he's like, no. So he's like, we're running left return. I was like, no. And he's like, why not? I'm the right hand on left return. That's the wrong thing. So if Danny Smith, you see Danny Smith still perusing the sidelines as the special teams coach. That was our special teams coach. He said, no, okay. He said, we'll do middle return. So we do middle return, and I slowly trot back, and all I hear coming up behind me is move. It's very difficult running with the ball, getting everybody out of his way. He shot off like a cannon and scored a touchdown and to send us in overtime. But that was the funniest thing. Was all I heard was move.
Get the hell out the way.
Yeah,
Danny Smith with the gum, still with the gum and stuff,
Danny Smith. Yeah, he still does that.
Yep.
When I first saw quick sidebar, the funniest thing that I ever seen was when I was in the era before everybody they knew that we were going to have large human beings, and so they built those giant treadmills, those trackways.
Right.
So we were the first one with them because we used to do winter conditioning on them. So Daddy was on one and he was jogging and stuff, and so he didn't know how powerful it was. He was jogging. He's like, let me kick it up a few notches. So he kicked it up a few notches and it shot him back into the room.
Oh my God!
Dude.
Whoops!
Man, dude, that was like the funniest thing I ever saw. I was like, whoa! It shot him back. Okay, so in the training room, there's a room, there's a doctor's office with a door on it. It shot him back into his office. I was like, damn.
Ain't gonna do that. But before we get you out of here, I really want to. We really appreciate your time.
I appreciate you guys too. We have to do it again sometime.
So
absolutely, man.
Absolutely. Before we get you out of here, we got to ask about the current Eagles, and you brought it up earlier. There's a couple main questions to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
You brought it up earlier. Now, I've been a Jalen Hurts fan since he got drafted. I got a lot of grief. We did a draft.
I did too. We were together because I was on WIP at the time still, and some of the yahoos over there. I was like, dude, all he does is win.
Right.
It was like,
well, I got a lot of grief on draft night. We were doing a draft show on our former network, and I was just new onto the network. So I'm like the rookie. I don't want to cut out a line, but like I'm going to stick to my take. Yeah. And so I did research as soon as we drafted Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, this guy had 100 total touchdowns in collegiate play, and he played for 2 major programs and started. I'm like, this guy's a winner. Like this guy's
exactly. But you also could have dropped in there that he went from he didn't bitch out like a lot of guys do. He stayed there, and he fought for the job, and he stayed there, and then he took his last year, and was 3rd in the Heisman Trophy race. 35 touchdowns to 2. And you could have took it even further. Your argument should have been this. We had Carson Wentz at the time. But if Carson Wentz doesn't have the wherewithal and the testicle fortitude to know how important he is to the team, and get down, you're playing against one of the dirtiest players in the NFL in Jadeveon Clowney. And you're trying to get an extra yard. And then we put a 40-year-old on the field who pulls an ass cheek muscle. We needed some insurance. And the part that
my point that I was bringing up to him, because they were bringing up, well, why are we drafting him if we have Carson Wentz? We're going to do this quarterback factory. And I said, listen, if Carson Wentz is that fearful, here's what he should do. Step up. You either step up or step out.
Slide.
Well, no, it's not even just that. It's the idea like Jalen Hurts played with guys like Tua and Kyler Murray. He played with competition in that quarterback room. If Carson is afraid of competition in that quarterback room,
he was afraid of competition. No, but you knew he was afraid of competition because he didn't want Nick Foles here.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean,
the point that cracked me up is like your argument should have been we don't need a 40-year-old backup if Carson goes down in the playoffs.
Right.
And like my thing was, okay, Carson's coming from this small school. He doesn't know what real competition really looks like. I don't give a damn if he won a championship or whatever there. That's good for him. But that's like winning.
The entire season.
That's like being
the entire season.
He was hurt the entire season.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like people were steady talking. They was like, you want competition. The way you make your team good to great is have competition at every position.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you can say that. Well, I'm not here for feelings. It's like I'm not here for feelings. Your feelings should be, I need to get on the field. I need to do everything. You have to earn the right to get on the field. You don't get to. Everybody doesn't get to play. This ain't Mamby-Pamby land.
No.
All the participation. It's like I get sick of going to watch a little league game and they're not keeping score. Or both teams get to go out for ice cream. You don't get to go out for ice cream if you get your ass kicked. No, you go home and you think about you win and you get ice cream. And you get ice cream and pizza. You lose, you get broccoli.
Yeah. Well, here's the question I'm going to ask, because this has been a contention, a contested argument throughout Philly for especially last year. I think you know where I land. I want to know where you land. Is Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback in the NFL?
He's a top quarterback. He's beat everybody that you rank in front of him. Handily. It's like all that. Oh, he doesn't know this. He doesn't. You don't know. You don't know this. You don't know that. What's the name of the game? The name of the game is winning. Hello.
Yeah.
The name of the game, and all he does is win. Who's the only quarterback that you're talking about that's had 6 different offensive coordinators?
It's the best part about it. I always say this too, and I know we got to wrap up here. I think that one thing I to piggyback what you said there, Hollis, is that I think the reason why that everybody gives Jalen Hurts some heat is because of the fantasy geeks and also the stat geeks and all that. I think it's more
the hate too. If you look at I think, and also tell me if I'm wrong. It's an interview I want you guys to go look at, the halftime interview. I know you probably seen it when Ben Johnson just giving the girl media gold. And she said, "Oh, you have to change something." He's like, "You think?" After he told her everything he had to change, I think that they're giving too much access. We're looking at crap that we shouldn't be looking at. It's like because throughout the game, there's going to be ebb and flows. There's going to be some stuff said on the sideline in the heat of battle and stuff. There's going to be some antics that are going to be misinterpreted by people who think that they know what's going on, lip readers and stuff. I was like, I don't give a damn what AJ Brown is doing on the sideline after the coaches spoke to him. He can read the book all he wants to. I was like, if that's how he gets ready, that's how he gets ready. Everybody gets ready differently.
Yep.
It's like, I don't need you to pan to the sideline every time to see what's going on. I don't need to see Taylor Swift up in the booth. I just want to see the game. I don't need to see somebody in it. The coaches should be pissed because they're getting interviewed at halftime, especially if you're getting your ass kicked and you're on the cusp end of getting
it takes away momentum.
Yeah. Not only that, it's like, why would somebody tell the opposing team what they're going to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
So here's my next question. Because you brought up AJ Brown, so there's been this issue rolling around now about AJ Brown getting traded, and
it's been an issue that it's been a move as AJ asked for a trade.
Well,
remember now, Joe and James. Remember, so what I'm gonna tell you about all the stuff that's swirling around, they have to feel the time. Remember, and I'm glad you guys didn't bring it up. I was news a week ago. I haven't played in eons. Remember, I was news. I was on TV. I was everywhere. They're reaching. I was like, AJ Brown. The last time AJ Brown wanted to go, did he not sign an extension?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So it's like everybody's reaching for straws like that, and they're making the hot takes, and some of us are buying the clickbait. It's like I don't buy the clickbait because I know that everybody who's the anonymous source. The anonymous source is chicken shit. It's like it's like you put your name on it. It's like the anonymous source. It holds no validity. But you know what it does? It gets you clicks. How many times have you clicked on a subject and you went down a rabbit hole and they didn't talk about nothing that the subject said?
Right.
So
it's all speculation.
The whole thing was 12 anonymous sources, and I'm sitting there going, okay, there's over 100 people in that building.
Yeah.
Do you think Jalen Hurts or AJ Brown give a damn what 12 of the 100 people care about? No.
The funny part is it's nobody, and I've been in that building a bunch of times. Nobody's going to give anybody anything because they know that the branches and the powers that be will find out who gave up. Because you grew up, you was telling me about we grew up in the era where if you told what was going on in your house, your household in front of company, when that company left, you was getting your ass kicked. Because you don't let nobody know what's going on in your house. And that it's always been like that in every sport. You keep in-house stuff in-house. When you let stuff get out the house and you let different rumors start swirling and you start saying stuff as a player about somebody else on the team publicly, it makes for dissension in the ranks. Nobody can trust you. It's like it's an unsaid brotherhood. It's an unsaid. I call it family, or it's an unsaid brotherhood. It's like I can call you an idiot, but I'm pissed off if somebody else calls you an idiot.
Yeah.
So
we're allowed to rag on you, but no one else is allowed to rag on you.
Boom.
Exactly right.
Exactly
so,
right.
Believe me, we all grew up with friends like that.
Did you see the lady who put the rumor out?
Yeah.
You saw she had to have a comeback. There's some video that she put up about trying to find out about the AJ Brown thing. There was no AJ Brown thing. It was just people making up stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clickbait. Like you said, clickbait. Exactly right.
Yeah. The current clickbait, and don't fall for it, is we just traded for a receiver from whatchamacallit, and we gave him a 1-year extension. They told something. Oh, that opens it up to trade AJ Brown. For who? For what?
Right.
Yeah.
We're trying to build a juggernaut here.
Yeah. My feeling is how he's just building the receiver room. That's it.
Yeah. It's got to make that. It's got to
like the one thing. Last part is like the one thing that you have to do is you have to build up each room. So if somebody gets an injury that they need to let heal, it's like cause sometimes we as players we'll play with something that's hurting us, but we'll hurt ourselves because when you compensate for one thing, you start to hurt something else. And I think that's what he's combating against. I always love when you have competition in the room, and it makes for a good team.
So speaking of last question, speaking of building up rooms, there's one room that the Eagles have built up and have seemingly built up throughout the decades, even with you and your time, is the defensive tackle position.
Yeah, baby.
We talked earlier about, Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. We also have, Ty Robinson.
Yep.
This defensive line is something to behold. Now, my question to you is, if you had to put Hollis Thomas and your name attribute, like, who do you see as the Hollis Thomas out of the people that are on that defense right now?
I've been, when I was, I don't know. I would say Jordan Davis, because he takes on two blocks, but he way faster than me. But it's like, I predicated myself on being in the right place at the right time, and especially in knowing formations and stuff. And it's like, knowing formations is stopping the screen plays, stopping the draw plays, and stopping the run. Just making all around plays. And I think that's what Jordan Davis does. It's like in Jalen Carter, he's disruptive. He reminds me a lot of Darwin Walker and Darwin Walker and Corey, because they were extremely disruptive. It's like, but you always need that cerebral person that like, I knew the defense, I knew where everybody was supposed to be, so I could know what I could and I couldn't do as a player. And I think once you have I felt like it was a privilege that you don't really pay attention to, of being in the same system for some years, because when in the system, and then I can look at an offense, and I knew what defenses that we ran that would neutralize opposing teams' offenses. I was like, so I love the fact that Jim Johnson would have made us almost like an extension of him, because we would also watch on the last days of the week, after he's given up the game plan and we went through it. We would sit in and watch film of the team that we coming up on, and he would ask one of us to make the call there, make the defensive call. What would you call in the situation? Because you want to be situated. You have to have good situational awareness as a defense, and I think that's why I love Vic Fangio, because he reminds me a lot of Jim Johnson, because he expects you to know what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. The one thing that I was going to leave you guys with is, I love this defense because, when you see somebody blitzing, and it was pretty prevalent in all of the playoffs, the way the defenses are, everybody's on the same page and nobody's doing that. It's like, you ever seen somebody hesitate and then it's like, and then that's the difference between pros and college, is the speed of the game, because you believe that you're going to come free. Now, when you believe you're gonna come free, that means you come in, and when you come free, it's not a surprise.
All right.
And then you're able to make the play. That's what the thing that Jim Johnson always put in that. Because I used to think, when he was first drawing the defenses up, I was like, I'm a sacrificial lamb. He's like no. And then he explained it to me one time. He's like, if you don't act like you're gonna come free and hit that, because it was like, one particular that I love is Even Fox alert snake. It's a max blitz. It's like, but when you draw it up, it says defensive tackles bull rush but it says on the caveat is on a track, which means you don't follow the guard. You just hit it straight. So if the guard steps out or steps in, it's a gap that comes there, and you just keep going. It's like, I made a side force fumble like 2 or 3 times on that particular defense, and it was just like, it was those key tidbits and those attention to detail that had me hitting the gap. Had I not hit the gap, I would have hesitated, and then he would have got the pass off.
Absolutely.
So before we get out of here, I want to promote once again Hollis Thomas, his website.
HollisThomas78.com, baby.
Yes, sir. Yeah, go get your Damn Skippy merch and check out his podcast and check out some of his business. Here, before we get out of here, Hollis, is there any events, appearances? You brought up one earlier. Do you want to bring up any other appearances you're going to be, or events you're going to be at in the coming weeks?
Oh yeah, I got the event at Dolan's today. That I'm gonna take a little bit of a nap, because you guys have the early up in the morning, and I think that's from 3 to something. But then also I have an event at 10/7 in Lansdale, where the Eagles Autism events. All is like that's on the 18th. On the 15th, I'll be down in Wilmington at BBC, I think it is. They have all Eagles autism events. I mean, just look for me to post not only on HollisThomas78.com, but also on my social media at the Real Tank 78 and KEWLMF on Instagram. And that's pretty much this show. That's pretty much it. I think that's it. But you can get my merch and stuff. You go in there and get my merch, and you can also connect with me, and it'll give you everything else.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we want to thank Hollis Thomas for coming on. We really do appreciate your time and all your insight and some of the kind of insight to what your career was like.
I have a quick question for you guys, though.
Okay.
Sure.
So with what the Eagles have done, with what Howie's done throughout free agency, what do you think our first pick in this upcoming draft is going to be?
Oh well, I think it's got to be safety because after you lost Reed Blankenship, who's your safety?
But you signed Marcus Epps.
I don't think Marcus Epps is.
He's not the answer. But no. This draft is rich in safeties and rich in edge rushers.
Yeah.
Now, there's one particular position that we were ailing at last year. One of the guys is pretty long in the tooth. His name is Lane Johnson.
Yeah.
We need, and also Landon Dickinson was part of the MASH unit.
Yep.
There's two tackles at the University of Utah that are 6'6", 305, running back at 4'9". That's my buddy Max. That's down in Arizona State, 6'6", 337, runs a 4'9" something as well. And the one who I think that's got him just a smidgen beat is at the University of Georgia. It's called Monroe Freely. He's the guy that was pushing Mike Vrabel around. In that one video.
You always like when someone pushes Mike Vrabel around.
Yeah, so it's like he's 6'7", 315. Also ran a 4'9", but he's got over 1,500 snaps at both offensive tackles. We need to if you're going to get a quality offensive tackle, we're not going to use all our picks. I feel like we're going to couple some of them and move up. I feel like we got to get the predecessor to Lane Johnson and get a couple of guys in there on our offensive line. If you look at what I said I was asking you about was free agency. We defensively went all out in free agency.
Yeah.
And it was just like we got cornerbacks, we got and who else plays safety? Cooper DeJean.
Yeah,
Right.
but you take that do you take the slot out? Like who plays slot then?
You need the corner we just got back from Seattle, 6'4", 295 pounds, runs a 4.28
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about CP3
today. Before we go here, I agree with what you said there too, Alice, is that I think it's going to be offensive line for sure, especially for the apparent of like Lane Johnson getting older and also like Landon Dickerson if he, say, for example, knock on wood, retires, So, for everybody that was chiming in today, I say thank you for everybody for commenting and all that too.
Yes.
But we do apologize for not getting back to you. So, but
this
was a lot of. Yeah, you can always reach out to you next time as always. But thank you for coming on, Alice. We really do appreciate it, my friend.
Appreciate you guys for having me. Thanks.
So for Hollis Thomas, James Scourge, I'm Joe Marks. We're the Pattison Ave Sports Show, and Fly Eagles Fly. We'll see you next time.
Go Birds.
Go to pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out.
Pattison Ave!